Well, that mission is important because of the significance of our sites. And it's not just the sites, but it's the history that they represent as well. The great thing about Mackinac is it has a very long and rich history that doesn't just embrace or embody one era or one theme. It is an area that has consistently been important and significant for a variety of peoples for a very long period of time. And so because it has such a rich and important history, and because there's so many of the physical remnants of that history still here, we have a wonderful mission, a wonderful stewardship responsibility of taking care of those properties and then learning about and presenting that history to the public through the exciting stories that are part of our past. I hope after people come to the Straits of Mackinac, and particularly to our sites, that they go away understanding and appreciating that there's significant components to the Michigan story, to the Midwestern story, and actually to the United States story that took place at Mackinac. That Mackinac was historically a significant and important place. But again, not just for one time or one peoples. It was significant for Native Americans, it was for French, for British, for the United States and Americans, and for a variety of different reasons over a long period of time. So I hope they go away realizing that this Mackinac is a special place historically, and that a lot of that history is still accessible there today through the restorations, the reconstructions, and the programs that bring it to life. There are stories that are compelling for different reasons. There are stories that are compelling because they're human interest stories. There are stories that are compelling because of military significance, but I think the most significant, compelling story in terms of the international significance of Mackinac is the fact that it was the center of the Upper Great Lakes international fur trade for such a long period of time. That from tiny little Mackinac, or that tiny little Mackinac played this important role in a fur trade that extended from the vast wilderness to the west and north and south of here, where the furs came from, to European markets and ultimately around the world, including the export of Chinese porcelain that came to Europe and eventually to Mackinac as a part of the trade and part of the community here. So again, I think it's the fact that tiny little Mackinac that was in many ways isolated and out of a long way from civilization was so important to the international fur trade, which was a major industry in North America for a long time. I think that's the other thing that I find compelling is that our discovery of new things about Mackinac never stops. I mean, you guys have all experienced that. We keep learning new stuff and turning over new things, whether it's finding a new painting that we've never found before about Mackinac, or we find this tidbit of history that Walter Hagen, one of the great golfers of the first half of the 20th century, played at Wawashkamo. We keep finding new stuff. We keep finding new information and new artifacts, new historic objects, and not only do we find it, but we have the capacity then to share it, whether it's through a blog post or an exhibit or a live interpretation program. That's what makes it really thrilling to me. It doesn't just sit in a dusty, cabinet somewhere. It's something that we get, we preserve, and then we get out. One of the things that comes to mind right away, of course, is the Beaumont story, which is so well known, and I hate to use that as one. I'd rather give some insight to some more obscure topic. But the Beaumont story is significant because of its contribution, not to the normal things that we think about with Mackinac. It's not military, it's not fur trade, it's not tourism, but it's medicine, and it's the understanding through this accident about the process of human digestion. And that whole story begins not only at Mackinac, but it actually really begins in our buildings, in the building that we now have as the American Fur Company retail store, and in Dr. Beaumont's home, which is the restored officer stone quarters at Fort Mackinac. So that, that's one of the more compelling stories that comes to mind. I hope people come for the same reason that I was entranced with Mackinac the first time I came here, because it is a place that is unique and different. So much of America and the world is become homogenized. You can go anywhere and find the same fast food. You can find the same kind of highway. You can find the same kind of everything. You come to Mackinac and you find something unique. And that uniqueness has to do with the way that it has been preserved, both in terms of its physical preservation, also the preservation and presentation of that history, but especially on Mackinac, the preservation of the unique environment that is a pre-automotive environment. I hope people come here and they say, wow, that was so special, because there are very few places in the world like that, where you can go and it's a pre-automotive ambiance. No cars, no stop signs, no stoplights, no gas stations, very few garages, and horses doing the same thing that those horses did on those same streets 2 centuries ago. That is a takeaway that I think is so special.